Replays. Why do we watch them? And what are they? I mean, why spend time watching a replay to learn when you could just learn by playing, analyze in the moment, and not waste time with a replay that ultimately shows me what I've already experienced? Replays can seem a bit redundant. They can feel sometimes more like a cool novelty in order to show off games to your friends rather than a tool that can better equip you for your next battle. Except, replays do help. They actually help quite a bit. They can be used to learn much more than you could expect. You can watch the way you perform, or watch the way a player seems to dominate, all for the sole purpose of knowing what to do next time and to learn what recipes led to the best result. Replays, I think, are an undervalued tool. That's why I'm here. I want to show you why replays are so important, how to use them, and ultimately, how you can use that information to implement it into your own gameplay. But what are replays? I mean, we know what they are. They're just recordings of old matches. But why are they able to be so accurate? How can they take everyone's movements, everyone's weapons, everyone's gear, and how does this all just collect during a match? I mean, wouldn't this just take precious power from a Switch that's being able to run Splatoon at this high gameplay, at this peak form? Wouldn't this just lower that? What is really going on in the background? So I dug a little deeper, and I couldn't find a deep answer that would satisfy me. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's recreating matches, but the way it does it is by taking every input, taking every weapon, taking all that data, and just putting it into its own blueprint, creating a blueprint of sorts that the game uses to reconstruct your game. So instead of it really being a replay, it's actually a recreation. It's kind of cool, and why uploads can work so well, why they can seem so high quality when you don't even know the players in the match. You could still have a perfect recreation. Kind of. Because it's a blueprint and just being recreated, there are obvious flaws. I'm sure you've watched the replay and seen slightly altered results. Things that are slightly off. Maybe the shot wasn't precise. Maybe someone's using a charger and it doesn't seem like they're really hitting the person, but they are close enough where you're not missing the point. But what even is the point of this? Well, I'm not here to break down the ins and outs of how a replay functions, but I am here to show you why replays are so helpful and how easy it is to take away something that can, quite frankly, change the way you play the game. It's kind of interesting how underutilized replays really are. I want to show you how to watch replays, how it can be easy and not something that's complicated, something that can really encourage you to just give it a try. Look at it every so often, learn, and that all comes from just this lobby terminal, which I'm sure everyone knows. But going here is how you get into this hub of replays. Let's look at my last match for example. Go click play. We run into something that I find kind of interesting. That's this first problem. Who do you watch? What perspective is the best perspective? I mean, I could watch myself, but as I've kind of said earlier, watching myself can feel kind of redundant. I know the mistakes I made, and I can kind of figure what not to do. I mean, this is a prime example. I end up fighting this roller, and I make a pretty dumb decision right here. Drop down. Now, it doesn't make sense to drop down there. You are in the range of the roller. I was in the range of the roller. They had low ground and I had high ground, and I decided to give that up for what? Right? No, that's a pretty easy takeaway. I can pretty obviously tell that, hey, maybe don't go near the up close weapon with my longer range weapon. Don't give up high ground because high ground is helpful. That's all pretty clear, but to me, it just felt like a simple mistake that I made, not something that is gonna change the way I view the game. And that's kind of why I think having multiple perspectives can be arguably better than just rewatching yourself. Now, I'm not trying to disprove the concept of just watching yourself in a battle. Inherently, that's going to be helpful because you can learn. I mean, even there, I didn't realize really how significant that drop was. I maybe remember the fact that I died to this roller, but I didn't realize I'd given up high ground. I knew I got too close to the roller, but I, quite frankly, just don't remember that I had high ground as well. It's helpful to rewatch these things, but they aren't the best in my opinion, and I kind of want to show you why. Well, we can look at our own gameplay. Watching enemies' gameplay or our teammates' gameplay, just gameplay of someone that isn't us, I think is so helpful. Here, for example, I'm watching someone who I think played pretty well and is a weapon that I just don't play. And I can learn from someone who does pretty well in the match and from a weapon I don't play quite a bit. I mean, the way this person maneuvers around the map, the way this person uses their weapon, the way this person uses their whole kit, everything I can learn because I'm watching them. I only learn from my specific interactions with them. Here, I can learn much, much more because I'm watching them. And I could watch a different player, someone that plays a weapon that maybe I've played before, like the Splattershot Pro. I can learn from them, even if they weren't the best player. I can learn, the mistakes they make and how to avoid them. I can learn what they did right. I can see things that I don't see because they aren't me. There are different perspectives, and they're so helpful. But hold on. If I really want to get the most value, wouldn't watching someone else be similar to just watching myself? I mean, I'm still only getting an eighth of the perspective of the whole game. I would have to sit here for quite a while if I really want to get the whole picture. I mean, I would have to sit and watch every single person's game, and I kind of don't think that's worthwhile. I mean, it could be helpful, but there's a better way, and my personal favorite way of watching a replay, and that's by watching overhead. Watching the battle unfold overhead is like a chess game. You can see how players position themselves, how the enemy positions themselves, how your team positions yourselves, how maybe two players combine to ensure a splat, and maybe even why you lost a match that you couldn't understand why you lost. This, in my opinion, is the best use of a replay, and I'd argue is more helpful than any other perspective. I mean, you are in the perspective of yourself. You watch the game just as anyone else could see it, but you don't ever get to see the game like this. Well, except you kinda can. And that's the big point I'm trying to make. You can learn to watch enough of these replays and learn to see this when you're playing your own game. I mean, you have a map. The map lets you see the game like this. That is the only way to watch the game outside of replays from top down. I mean, unless you want to count super jumping into a battle, but realistically, looking at your map gives you very close information to what a replay gives you. It's actually kind of shocking how underutilized it is. You could see, obviously, your whole team, but you are also able to sometimes see where the enemy team is positioning themselves. You can see when the player is in a fight, the enemy is on your map now, and you can learn the proper ways to space and the proper ways to assist your team, and where putting yourself helps your team, even if you feel like you aren't being ultra aggressive. Sometimes being ultra aggressive is just that. It's too much. If someone were to have been positioned up there in that corner, you could have really good spacing, and what ends up happening is you end up putting pressure from multiple angles. It's actually quite fascinating how this goes underutilized. Here's another example of this top-down gameplay. You can pretty clearly see how these players are spaced out and how they maneuver as a team, how based off of not wanting to pile on top of each other, they move in different directions, you know? I mean, towards the beginning you could see how I went more towards this part of the map because I knew my team was up there. I mean, the ultimate point is to be able to predict where the enemies will be. I mean, you can see with where they paint, they're probably going to be over there. You can see how positioning is king, how positioning outweighs even the best skill. There is no difference between two players outside of their knowledge and playtime. I mean, yes, skill plays such an influential part, but positioning is so much more important. It's a team game after all. Not one person can win. You are still 1/8 of the whole equation. You have 7 other people on this map that influence this game their own way. Now, obviously, putting yourself in good positions based off high ground or power positions, stuff like that is obviously going to be way more important. But positioning based off your team can take away the need for having perfect aim or being able to maneuver better or use your weapon better. I mean, it's really fascinating how these are kind of two parallel versions of skill. You have one that's more about raw talent and being able to maneuver your fingers around your controller, while the other is your intelligence, your game IQ, the ability to know where to place yourself, when to go back, when to attack, and stuff that is more complicated than just simply skill. I think many people can agree that learning to be smart takes a lot more effort than just learning to hit your shot better. I don't think that's the big difference between good players and great players. We need positioning to win. And that's where I think this video is leading to. I want to showcase the power of positioning, the power of replays, because positioning can't be done unless you watch gameplay. You don't know what to do unless you are watching gameplay and analyzing it. A replay is purely for analyzation. Well, not purely, but it's close, and you can watch a replay and take away so much that can impact your own experience. There's one more thing I managed to leave out, and that's the graph. It's on the bottom right corner, and it can be pretty helpful actually. It shows you whenever you get the lead, whenever you blunder, shows you when wipeouts happen, it shows you when you start losing control, when you do have control. It's an analyzation that goes pretty deep and goes honestly unseen. I mean, let's go look at this part. Why does it go from us winning to this, plateau, and then this decrease? What happens here? What happens? Well, let's look. Checkpoint was broken. Okay, cool. But then we get that guy. Okay, where does this land on the graph? We're still in that plateau, which makes sense. I mean, no wipeout has occurred, and there is no huge shift in power. I mean, we're still stuck in our base. They could still stop us right here and kind of be left at the same spot. But then a wipeout happens. Now wipeout is right here. That pretty big part of the decline. Now, yeah, the decline did start when we ended up receiving Rainmaker, which is kind of, interesting, even though if they got us right here, we would definitely be in trouble. But still, it's a great way to see when power shifts. It shows me when things shift. It shows you the highs and lows, obviously, of the match, and that's pretty cool and super, super useful. I mean, here, you can see when everything just goes downhill for these guys, or goes uphill for us. It's reverse. Sorry, I keep forgetting I'm the orange team. If we look here, it is all downhill, which all uphill for us, where we actually end up just going to their base, taking it to them, and everyone moves in. It's a really cool system, and I think is something that you should definitely look into, even if you think it's novel. It's cool to get this deep analyzation of the game, and that's ultimately the point of the replays. I came here to show the value. Using the replay is a great tool, and I think any of us can use this to become our own little professionals. It's awesome, and it's just something you should think about. It's a tool there for us, for the players. It's something that goes really unseen, and I think we should take advantage of more often. next time you get the chance, do take a moment and just check out a replay. A win or a loss doesn't really matter. Try viewing it from a different perspective, whether you're viewing someone that you thought did really well, whether it's a weapon that you're curious about, or viewing it from top down and learning how to see the game from your map. Either way, I think it's very, very helpful and just worth at least a look into. Um, Appreciate you sticking around, and if you like this, this is only a first part, a first time, whatever this is, a series or just a one-time thing. This is a sort of experiment when we kind of deep dive. I mean, here was really just putting the toe into the water, but I think it'd be really fun to deep dive into other mechanics of Splatoon and really try to understand, you know, why things are the way they are and how to ultimately improve. If you're interested in this, maybe subscribe and show me that you're into this. And also, come hang out. I mean, I stream every week, try to stream 2 times a week, and it's always fun because I play with anyone who wants to play. So yeah, thanks for watching this, and I hope you took something away that can really change the way you see this game. Appreciate you, and have a good day.